101X, Emily and CJ backstage with Hozier. I gotta ask you this right off the top. It's Sunday in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Did anyone take you to church this morning? Were you able to find a ride?
It's if I go through those doors, I burst into flames, so I have to avoid it. Yeah.
I see.
I stayed safe today. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Horny radio people have asked.
First one today.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
but we made it up to you because we had you make a Lego of yourself
Yeah.
before, so
Oh.
at least we could be unique for 1 second,
Yeah.
and then get
No.
to say the joke.
I love it. I
So-
love it. The Lego thing is by far one of the most unique things that I've.
It seems you and Declan both made Legos that look like you. It's got
Right.
the hair, it's got the face. It just really works. So I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the Jar Jar Binks head was gone.
Yeah.
And it's one of
Bring it.
those where you get to see them every probably year, 6 months or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, like,
so it's a
totally.
reunion almost of all the festival crowds.
Yeah, it's very hard to catch people and catch their sets and stuff. So to get a chance twice is great. you
That's
know?
incredible. And
Yeah.
you're touring with a new album right now, too.
Yeah.
It's great. I have a very personal question to ask you about that album. So, DeSelby, Part 2, the music video is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a little selfish
Thank you.
because I love Domhnall Gleeson.
Donald Gleeson is amazing.
Like,
yeah.
I am so obsessed with him. So seeing that you and your team created this amazing music video with him that was just so it made me so anxious and it felt so spectacular. Can you tell me a little bit more about that video in particular?
Yeah. I gotta say, Donald was a huge part of its conception as well too. Of its kind of its.
That's awesome.
Of its conceptual sort of approach. So, I always would have killed to work, do anything with Donald, and I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last few years, and with just when we're in town, in the same town or something, and just. And through my manager, and he's a wonderful person. He's outrageously talented, and he's incredibly funny. The man exudes a natural humor. He's great. I love him a lot. But then getting to work with him, I'm also a fan. I've been a fan of him for years. you know? So I always wanted to work with him, but I just sort of played him. I think we just sort of shared the song with him, and it was important that I felt he was at his fully comfortable, fully happy with doing a project like that. And so he was like, okay, well, here's what I see. How about a man just with a shovel in a pub, and maybe. So he just sort of started with this one idea and then just flowed with it. And the director, Wolf James, you can look him up, Wolf James Creative. We just put our heads together. I was on the road. I think I was in Sweden somewhere or Stockholm, and we just put our heads together on like a conference call, and we would talk about the video and make it work. And the two of them, and they filmed it in Wicklow when I was on the road. Sadly, I couldn't be there that day, but he just knocked it out of the park.
Wow.
He's just an incredible performer.
Yeah, every time I listen to that song, which is absolutely incredible, by the way, I love this new album and just diving into Dante's Inferno, which you just mentioned that you have read recently.
I
so when I brought it up,
and read like the different acts of Dante's Inferno, and because it's something you read in school, and you're like, I have to do this as a chore, and then I'm kind of going back through that. So kind of take us through how your album represents the different layers and rings of hell, and how you were inspired to make this.
Yeah, I think I wanted to on the album acknowledge in some way like an element of the last few years, of the last 3 years. So entering into like the pandemic period and coming out of it, and then all of my own experiences within that, and wanted to acknowledge it, but not dwell too deeply on like the lockdown experience or
Get
the
too
pandemic
heavy in
Sure.
the dark.
Yeah.
and kind of showcase it in a completely different, like more poetic way than I feel like a majority of artists were doing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure, but just the nod to a journey, like feeling that was a journey that should at least be honored or should be acknowledged in some way. And here is this, and I was reading Dante at the start of that pandemic, and I there was some lines in it that there's like that line above the doorway of hell that says, "Through me you enter into the population of loss." And it felt like all of us globally were like entering, or we're on the precipice of entering into.
There's no coming back from that was kind of the message.
Yeah, or just, there was so much that we could have lost in that time. There was so much of potential loss. So there was elements in that poem were resonating with me at the time, and it just seemed a way to credit something of a journey through new circumstances, and that it was that thing of like the only way out is through, you know.
Yeah.
So on we went, and I just wanted to nod to
onward
that.
through the fog, I guess, even
Yeah.
the old saying.
Yeah.
I guess to follow up with a really, deep, important question as well, what would you say is the dumbest instrument
Oh my gosh.
and why?
What is the dumbest instrument and why? Probably the human voice.
Yeah, singing? But you have such a good one. Why
I
would
know, but like, think of the shit you can say with a
Oh,
voice.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Right here,
Excuse my
me.
French.
I sing songs about my dogs pooping every day.
Oh,
and
you should hear the
Yeah.
things
It
that he
is.
comes up with.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
has to work with me, so.
And I was this close to saying a kazoo, but at the same time, like next to that, like a kazoo is a feat of engineering. Like
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
to like this is just happened through a
And
process
somebody
of
woke up one day and was like, "That sounds good.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible."
Yeah, it's
Um,
human voice.
I also want to talk more about your songwriting for a second. So when people listen to your music, you probably know this, of course, with your fans. I feel like they have a aesthetic or like a perception of you that you are this man that is sitting by the fireplace in a cabin where
Floating.
you're floating around and you're drinking your tea and you're sitting there writing your song. But what is actually the environment that you like to be in? Maybe not a cabin in the woods, or maybe a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, I see a lot of representations of myself that are
Yeah.
often, I know they're playful and sometimes confusing. I will say though, like I have to take ownership. I do live by like amongst a kind of a wooded area, and I love it, and I do love the trees. I love being near nature, but I genuinely get a lot of my work done between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
The witching hour.
Yeah, I'm kind of like kind of a night owl. And when I fall into that mode of creating, it's kind of I'm not. Yeah, that sounds very refined. I'm
Yeah.
hardly as functioning as I'll wake up at 2 p.m. and
Yeah.
then like drown myself in coffee, and then finally somehow start work at 8 p.m. And
Yeah,
then,
you start just feeling it and going.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
hopefully I didn't
It's
ruin
messy.
somebody's dream of
Yeah.
how you write.
I know. I do. I'll do that for
But
anybody.
it's very
who-
realistic,
Yeah,
obviously.
Especially
Yeah.
the floating part. Speaking of
Yes.
floating, can we touch your hair?
Um,
Okay, you know what? I haven't washed my hands. We won't do that.
a little
thank
sweaty.
you so much for
Oh,
joining us.
good.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you taking the time, and enjoy your Lego. And I hope you keep that with you, bring it out on
Thank
stage,
you.
and can make an entire Lego set performance.
Thank you very much. I love this thing. I love it. Yeah.
Thank
It's a great
you.
idea.